Good morning, everyone. This is David Nitkin, Chair of the Maryland General Assembly Compensation Commission. Thank you all commission members for being here today in Annapolis. I hope you all got here easily. It was probably due to me that we have not completed our work before today. I was back this weekend from a very nice trip overseas, but unfortunately that was one of the scheduling complications for this commission. So I appreciate you. I might have even been the last commission member to walk into the room. I think we all timed it very well. Our experience in Annapolis has come through. So we're here today. This is our final meeting, and under a tight deadline to make our decisions and recommendations. So I'm going to turn it over now to Philip and our staff to guide us through our next steps as we go through the agenda and make our final decisions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. So you should all have before you a decision document, and then I think you also should have a draft of the resolution based on the discussions. So today we'll be going through this decision document. The primary item up for discussion will be the salaries for the next term, and then we have, based on your prior meetings and discussions, the existing 2022 resolution will be continued over. There are some technical changes updating dates regarding some applicable expense provisions, and then you had previously discussed 2 items related to the legislative pension plan, adding a date to require eligible members who are still eligible but have not purchased service to get them to 8 years, and then adding a line of duty death benefit. So I will share, let's get this. So we'll kind of go through this. So as you can see, the current salaries you have here, there are salaries for the members, and then there are separate salaries for the president and speaker. At the last meeting, there was a request to see a few options. We have these here before you. The first option, option A, would be 1% increase in each of the first 2 years of the next term, followed by a 2% increase in each of the next years of those terms. Option B, 1.5, 1.5, then 2.5, 2.5% increases. And then option C, 2% increases for the first 2 years and 3% increases for the second 2 years of the term.
Thanks, Philip. Would you be willing to quickly recap for us what we know about what has transpired since our last meeting, in particular in regards to bargaining units in the state, and maybe a quick recap of the work that's been done by our peer commissions for the governor and the judicial branch?
Yes, so the bargaining units, Jacob, correct me if I'm wrong, I think generally, for the most part, negotiated a 2% increase. The largest of those units, AFSCME, that negotiation, I believe, is currently still in process, has not been finalized. The other commissions, the Governor's Salary Commission had decided to take the approach of no increase in 2027, and then increases of in 2028, no increase in 2029, and then another increase in 2030. So for the governor, the aggregate of those increases by the 4th year of the term would increase the governor's salary by $15,000. So it would go from $195,000 currently to $210,000. For the constitutional officers, the increases would aggregate to $10,000 over the 4 years. So they would go from $175,000 to $185,000. And then the Secretary of State, which has traditionally been at a lower salary rate than the other constitutional officers would have an aggregate $8,000 increase, going from $120,000 to $128,000. For the judicial comp, the recommendation was an across the board $5,900 increase for each year of the term. So each year would go up by $5,900 for aggregate increases of $23,600.
And also did if I recall correctly, at our last, I'm sorry, Commissioner Slater, please.
I just had a question. All of our numbers are based on a percentage increase. Can you tell us over 4 years what the percentage increase would be for the governor, the constitutional officers, and the judicial approximately? I mean, I know it aggregates, so
Right.
give us some. I want to see how close our numbers are to their percentages.
So the aggregate for the governor would be 7.7, the constitutional officers 5.7, and then Secretary of State 6.7, and then judicial, it's depending on the position, because they want the flat dollar amount, so the percentages vary based on, chief judge and associate judge, but those range from on the low end 9.24 and on the high end 11.72.
Yeah, and just to make sure I'm understanding it correctly, because while I try to get my head around compounding and interest, is the governor's 7.7 apples and apples to if we had our option A would be 6 or our option B would be 8? Is that apples to apples? Or is there's a compounding effect?
There's a compounding effect, but again, that's why I was kind of also noting the dollar amounts. So, you may have a percentage, but, for the constitutional officers, you're going up from a range of either anywhere from 8,000 on the low end to 15,000 on the governors. On the high end of the options that we prepared, so that option C, you're talking, I think it's about, so you're talking 8% aggregate. I think it might be a little more. But yeah, dollar amounts, you're talking about 8.2%.
Our option C is 8.2% aggregate?
No, I think it's a little bit higher. Yeah.
Option C is, from 56, right? Yeah.
Good point.
Option.
You're good.
He pointed me. I think option B is 8.3. And then option C is a little over 10. Yeah.
And if I recall correctly, our last meeting was right around the time, but just before, I believe, that the meeting of the Spending Affordability Commission. Is that accurate? And do we have could we get a recap or a quick recap of any major changes from the prior report in the fall?
I believe, and Jacob, chime in if it was a target of reducing the structural by 50%.
There's a number of recommendations. Yes, we can put fiscal urgency. I can pull up this list of
Any commission members did their homework and saw what spending affordability did by, I know we're still, the budget that the governor will submit will fill a $1.5 billion hole. And I believe next year is the major general fund commitment toward the blueprint in the order of $2 billion, I believe. So I think in that context, maybe we open the floor to discussion about our options A, B, and C, and whether we want to alter them or tweak them or accept a motion for one of them. So I'll open the floor to commission members. Tom, please.
I'd like to go with option C, but I think especially in light of the percentages that you just gave us, I know they're not exact, but it seems like option B is more in line with what we're doing with the constitutional officers and the governor. It seems like the judiciary is getting higher, but I think I don't know for sure, but my perception is that they complain rightly that they have not gained in salary sufficient over the years, and so I can understand why theirs might be more, but I would move that we go with option B.
There's a motion. Is there a second to that motion?
I second the motion.
Thank you. Let's have discussion on the motion, if any. Yeah. Commissioner Gallagher.
I was comfortable with option B, option C, or, kind of something in between, a quarter point higher, 1.75 and 2.75. I think option A is too low. And I think that was the easiest part, was to rule that out. I think what I like about option B is that a 2% COLA for state workers is the norm. I think that that has really been established as kind of a minimum threshold. While there are year-to-year challenges, like in terms of the structural deficit, the state has a bipartisan record of having always balanced its budget and figured that out. So I think 2% is somewhat of a floor. I think in the earlier commission meetings, we explored how the majority of state employees also receive step increases. I know that that's not proposed for this year. So, there are going to be, some years where the annual adjustment, the COLA, and the step is going to be stacked, and it's going to be closer to 4. So I think option B and C, I like that we're in the early years, safely under what state employees are likely to receive, that even at the high point, it's not excessive, in terms of norms. And I think it, either option would really fit in well with the majority of other salary actions that are happening. So I'm prepared to support option B, but I'm also open to discussion if we wanted to tweak it slightly higher.
Yeah, that's, I think my sense is we left ourselves some room as we laid out these options for today to sort of do a little bit of sensitivity analysis and fine tuning if we wanted to. So I think as we hear other discussion, let's keep that option open, and maybe if there's consensus, we could have a amendment to the motion, I believe is, or withdrawal of the motion and remotion if we decide to fine tune it. Based on some of the, I do wonder, since the largest bargaining unit hasn't agreed yet, if there's a likelihood that they might come in slightly higher than what other bargaining units have. I don't know if that's realistic or not. I don't know enough to know what the major hangup is.
My understanding in that regard was that there's a legal requirement to settle by December 31st, that they did not settle, and that the administration has publicly said, I'm not breaking any news here, that they were going to put 2% into the budget. So I am not aware of past experiences where there has been a settlement after the December 31st date and an upward adjustment after the budget's been submitted. It's not to say that it's never happened, but I don't have that recollection, in terms of my experience from when I was here and then when I've followed it closely since.
Other comments from commission members? Commissioner Wong.
Question, AFSCME, at one point, we had a discussion about department heads and top-level managers in state government, but AFSCME doesn't include them, right? I mean, they're not under bargaining. Do they get automatic increases as well, and is it the 2%?
They're subject to the executive pay plan set by the governor.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
They're set by the executive pay plan by the governor.
Gotcha, thank you.
So that's an administrative executive branch decision for administrative appointees who are not members.
Well, to the governor.
At will and
At
not
will,
members of
you're right,
bargaining
and
unit.
not part of
Yeah.
AFSCME bargaining.
Right. Any other questions? Simon?
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Couple of things. I mean, relative to what the state employees here in Maryland are going to get, I mean, these numbers fit in. I think the other discussion we had in one of our earlier meetings was making sure that legislators don't fall behind, that we at least kind of stay in the same range. And I mean, these numbers, I mean, we only have the data for 24 for all the other states. But basically, you know, we're never going to be, these numbers are not going to put us in the top 10 because we're just already outside of that, even with this highest number here. And it's unlikely we're going to fall below about 14 or 15 because there's a huge gap between us. So, I mean, any of these, I agree that B or C is fine, tweaking it. Any of these numbers will work in terms of that particular goal. And in terms of what the commission wants to do in terms of the specific percentages, you know, I think these are in the ballpark, however we want to adjust them. But I just wanted to make sure that we were kind of comfortable as a commission that we weren't going to fall behind or gain too much, but especially not fall behind, which is, I think, something these numbers do.
Any other comments? So I raised the question, is there a will or desire to split the difference between option B and option C? Would that be, does the commission feel that might be a quarter percentage point on each one? Or is that where we would be, is 1.75 and 2.75?
I think, I just did the math. I think if you took it up a quarter point, option B, let's call it option B plus, 1.75, 1.75, 2.75, 2.75, I think the compounding is 9.3% over 4 years. I think it's still in line. I think it still accomplishes all of the things that the commission seems to be prioritizing. And I wouldn't say it's a compromise, but, you know, I think there's something, you know, it's not 3%, you know, so it's, you know.
And it's also not 2%.
Exactly, so. And if it's helpful, I'd be happy to make option B plus as a motion.
So we have a motion on the table. Based on my 30-plus years of experience of listening to Robert's Rules of Orders, but not having to be a parliamentarian, I believe we either need a motion to the motion or maybe a withdrawal of the motion. Or
I was going to say, as maker of the motion, I would accept that as a friendly amendment, and if the seconder would, I'm fine with that. So we get to the point where that's what's on the floor.
So we have.
Friendly amendment.
Great.
Friendly amendment, it's not a new motion.
All right.
So
all right.
we will.
So we have a motion. We have a friendly amendment to the motion. It's been seconded. Oh. I thought did you have your hand up?
Oh, you have someone with a mic open. I didn't know.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, Commissioner King. Commissioner King, please. I apologize for not noticing.
Motion.
We're all friends with our friendly amendment. All right.
I can put that up if you want to see it.
Sure, yeah, thank you. Oh, interestingly, that breaks, presiding officer salary goes to
So the
above.
same increase applied uniformly.
base 57.6. That looks and feels reasonable, although I know to some members of this commission and probably some members of the General Assembly, somewhat disappointing that we cannot recognize their work and value to a higher degree. So, with the motion being made and seconded and amended, all in favor of option B plus as displayed on our screen, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, so that motion is adopted as the decision of the commission on that. Thank you.
Just be going through the resolutions, so everything from the current resolution regarding expenses, travel, reimbursements, participation in benefit programs is unchanged, so that would carry over. You do have some technical changes, so for district travel, just be updating the applicable years to the years for the next term. The reimbursements, again, are linked to things like federal mileage reimbursement rates and government services administration rates for lodging. And then the meals are with the state per diem amounts. The pension system, again, the provisions are maintained. The first change would be regarding, there's an existing provision for members with membership in the General Assembly prior to the 2019 term. If they left the General Assembly with less than 8 years, there's a provision allowing them to purchase service to get them to vesting. The system is noted there are only 11 members outstanding still eligible to make this purchase, and recommended adding a deadline of December 31st, 2027 for those outstanding members to go ahead and make that purchase. And then the other change for the pension system would be to add a line of duty death benefit for the members. That would be consistent with all of the other plans in the state retirement and pension system. They're the only plan that currently does not have that benefit. It was added to the judicial system, which also lacked it. That was done in 2024. The provisions are identical to all the other plans. And then for fringe benefits, members are able to participate in the same manner as state employees. The only difference with them is for retiree health, the years of service for the subsidy calculation are different for post 2015 term members. And then the forfeiture benefits provision is still in place.
So do we need a motion to make that, or to put that in our resolution?
Yes, so you can do it a few ways. You can adopt everything I said. You can go through piece by piece. If you want to take the changes individually, you can do that, and then adopt the 2022 provisions carrying over.
I feel like we've discussed these several times.
Yeah.
Unless there's objection, I personally don't see the need to go through them individually. Does any member of the commission feel differently? So I will entertain a motion to adopt the changes as outlined by staff to include in the 2026 resolution. Motion. Thank you. Second? All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you.
All right, I believe that is everything. We will update the resolution with the numbers that we had before. So the 1.75, 1.75, and then the 2.75 increases for the terms. And then I have a signature page here to get your signatures on that. And then we will compile the updated resolution and report and send that out to you for review so that we can then get that process to be introduced in the legislature.
Thank you. I do want to alert the commission just a minute of open discussion of one conversation I had recently with a member of the General Assembly who reached out to me with an idea that would be alluded to or flagged in our report, but not for consideration or adoption. And the discussion was around similar to what we have discussed at our earlier meetings regarding professionalism, full-time status, and need or ability to have outside employment as a member of the General Assembly. This member expressed to me the thought that, in particular with presiding officers in the General Assembly, and the amount of work that entails, that the salaries are relatively modest and may not reflect the level of professionalism or where we want to be in, as Simon has pointed out, rankings of other states. And so the request and the idea to me was to have a sentence or two, some language in the report that says, at some future point, either the General Assembly through a study or a future commission may wish to undertake a full examination of a move toward a more full-time status, or I guess that I don't have language written yet that I would read out, but a move to more toward full-time status, and possibly starting with presiding officers would be a consideration. So I raised that to see if the members of the commission perhaps share that thought, have thoughts about inclusion of a flag, if you will, in our report about future study of this idea, and whether you'd like to include that as a stake in the ground that could be studied in the future. Mr. Gallagher.
I would certainly be agreeable to language in the transmittal letter, like recommending kind of reviewing some of those issues. I know of late there have been, I think, some appeals related to outside employment that have been publicly reported on. And it seems like there might be some opportunity to bring more clarity to outside employment opportunities, the way that they're going to be evaluated, what would be eligible. So while I don't have proposed language, I do think it's a series of issues that merit some consideration.
Total
Commissioner
agreement with Commissioner Matt. It's something that I think would be great for us to consider for language, because it gives us an opportunity to see down the road what are some of the areas that could be tweaked in terms of compliance, ethics, et cetera, so that members have a better understanding of how they can and what they can and cannot do so.
Thanks. Commissioner Powell.
Yeah, I'd agree, again, with the idea of in the transmittal letter, it's a perfect opportunity to do that. I would note that we're setting the compensation for the next 4 years, so that the presiding officers in the legislature have the next 4 years to decide how they want to structure themselves. We've already seen in the House that the new speaker has restructured some of the committees, how they want to do that, and whether that involves meeting on a more regular basis and so forth. These are changes that they can make and the commission can respond to. But it doesn't really help this group or the next group if we don't have that cemented in place prior to when this commission meets. It's important to kind of have that information ahead of time, knowing what the legislature wants to look like.
To clarify, Commissioner Powell, you say in the transmittal letter, is that separate from the report? Leave it out of the report itself?
Well, I mean, the resolution is the resolution. It would not be an appropriate place, I don't believe, in the resolution, but there is a transmittal letter that goes with the report that's signed usually just by the chair, but I mean, with the consent of the commission, I would think that adding a sentence or two that expresses that understanding of any changes in the demands on the presiding officers or also on the members themselves, that's a good place for them to think about that.
Will, do you want to?
Yeah, so the report, it's a fairly, large document. If you look at the, the prior one, the resolution is one of the components. There's also summaries of, the materials that the commission has reviewed and summaries of the discussions that have been had. And as Commissioner Powell noted, there will be a transmittal letter from the chair kind of providing a high-level summary, here's what the commission discussed. And then in prior commissions, that has also been a place where they can, flag items for future commissions to take a look at.
So there is some precedent for that, in the transmittal letter, having guidance for future commissions, if not the General Assembly. Okay. All right, then I think, Commissioner Slayer.
I just wanted to say, I totally agree. I've had some contact from legislators too, who are comfortable with being part-time, but they say it poses a burden on a lot of legislators who have full-time jobs trying to balance the two. And so I think it's a good idea to include that in the report or the transmission letter, whichever is most appropriate.
As chair, I'd be willing to, by close of business today, send some suggested language for that. Does that?
Yeah, that works.
Okay. For the transmittal letter, I can send this to the full commission and we'll sign off by email. Is that? Mm-hmm. Or send it to you and then the whole package gets sent and then we decide if it's okay. Why don't we do it that way?
Okay.
All right. I think, is there anything else this commission needs to do? Oh, we need to sign the letter.
Yep, I've got a signature page for each of you to sign before you head out.
We'll do that. And let me just say, I think in closing, or does anybody else have any comments they want to make before we conclude? I do want to say, I want to thank each of you for your service on this commission. I think we took it seriously. I don't think we reinvented the wheel, and I don't think there was necessarily a need to do that because of the great work that the staff has did this year and in the past. So I thank the LS staff tremendously for the continuity of excellent work. Thank you for that very much. And I think that the process that the Maryland General Assembly has established for how they address their salary increases is reasonable, professional, makes sense. No one needs to vote on their own salary increase, and so we become the buffer for that. And I also think, as I was driving down this morning, my thought was that the reason this work took place relatively easily is because of the stature and qualities that you bring. Each of you was appointed because you have skills and abilities, and so it's your reputations that are on the line of endorsing this decision. And so thank you for doing that. Thank you for putting your names and work on the line to give this commission credibility. I appreciate it, and I know those who appointed you appreciate it. Thank you for your work. Maybe we'll see each other again in 4 years. Who knows? There have been some carryovers, but maybe not. And if not, it was a pleasure working with you all. We'll sign the document, and thank you very much. Meeting concluded. Adjourned. Thanks.